So I'm here with Dr. Phil at CrimeCon in Austin, Texas. Have you been to CrimeCon before, Dr. Phil?
I have not.
So what do you think so far?
Well, it seems like a very passionate crowd.
Yes, just had a meet and greet. Met a lot of people from across the country. What is it about true crime that fascinates people?
Well, I think it gets to the core of human nature, and it's the dark side. I think all human behavior is on a continuum, and this true crime goes to a part of that continuum that most people don't visit. They're not there, and so it fascinates them because it's the dark end, and they wonder how people get there. How do you go from normal, if there is such a thing, all the way to that end? And I think it fascinates them on how people get that far off of balance to do the things that they do. And I think they wonder, how do we spot those people in our lives? Are those people walking among us? And if so, how do we see them? What makes these people tick?
Yeah. Does anything surprise you anymore?
As soon as I say that, I surprise myself that I was naive enough to say
it. Right, okay.
Because the very next day I walk in and go, oh my God,
yeah, right.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. There's so many of these stories that are talked about here at CrimeCon that you've done shows on that just are mind-blowing to people. What have you learned over the 20 years you've been doing the Dr. Phil show?
Well, you know, I've learned, as I say, that all behavior is on a continuum, and that mental illness goes so far, and then I do think there is a part of human behavior that I don't think can be explained by mental illness. I mean, it goes further than what we have the constructs to describe. I do think there's a part that you can only explain by saying that's just evil, and maybe there is a diagnosis or a combination of diagnoses that describe it, but it goes beyond the pale. It goes beyond what we normally see in the diagnostic criteria, because there's just no way to explain how someone could be that non-empathetic, that non-caring to visit that kind of suffering on somebody else when there's nothing in it for them. And that's what's so confounding from a psychological standpoint, because you can't predict it. You can't see it coming. You can see something like a mass shooter with, I'll say, go back to Virginia Tech, for example. Mm-hmm. And after the fact, you can look and see where that individual had written such really dark, macabre stories and statements. But a lot of people do that. Stephen King writes that kind of thing and doesn't go out and kill people. So you can look at it after the fact and go, wow, I can see how that person would do that, but it's not predictive. So we don't have the ability to see these things coming. And when you go talk to people after the fact, what do you hear them say? Well, that was the nicest person in the world. Quiet, seemingly laid back, and then they go shoot up everybody at the Home Depot or some park or something. So we don't have the ability to predict this. And that's what is really confounding to me, and that we just don't have the ability to see it. We can explain it after the fact, but we don't yet have the ability to predict it.
Because if we did, there'd be a lot less of it.
That's right.
You're gearing up for a new season? Anything you're going to tackle come fall?
Well, we really have gravitated over the years to a lot of headline-driven stories, because our viewers, we don't break stories headline-wise. We go behind the headline and explain, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. What really drove what was going on, why these people did what they did and didn't do what they didn't do. And our viewers seem really fascinated by that aspect. Some of it crime, some of it just human nature, but we do a lot of stories that grab the attention of the viewers to try to unpack that for them and give them explanations as to why things happened. So we'll be doing even more of that than we had in the past.
All right, you got to get on stage. I'm going to let you go. Dr. Phil, thanks so much for chatting with me.
You bet. Thanks for talking to me.